This is Three Scoops Podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Kel.
And I'm Ron.
And today we're going to talk about the top 10 iconic cinema anti-heroes.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this, Ron? This list? Because
again, this list
you were smiling a little bit ago.
This is another list that I did not have any input. Like, you guys got together and made up like 4 lists without me.
Yeah, we did. That's exactly what we did.
Next time, you guys can get together and make up a list, and I'll be Ron, and I'll just complain about the list. No.
Yeah. I feel like if we all three would have made this list, the podcast kind of would have been moot because, I mean, half the fun is you arguing with us. So
Okay. All right. So let's start off with entry number 10 here.
Number 10, John Rambo.
Rambo. Okay. Already we got a meh.
I also meh.
You guys are the list makers.
He's an icon, buddy.
he is an icon.
Think about all the pop culture references in movies and TV shows to Rambo.
Just like we had to have Rocky, we had to have Rambo.
Rocky.
I don't think you guys should be putting meh on your list.
I don't think you should be talking that way about Rambo.
Who's your number 10?
Or Rocky or anybody.
Oh, God.
It's Stallone plays in the movie, all right?
So, I don't want to spoil your guys' list, but...
I'm going to.
No.
Don't spoil it. Don't reference any of the other numbers.
I'm just saying, like, there are characters that I would have put on this list that are not even on this list.
If they're not on the list, it's not relevant.
No. Well, okay.
Yeah.
It didn't make the list.
Take that. We'll do an honorable mention before we reveal number 1. How would that make you feel better?
If you're good.
And you can just list your top 10 list. You gotta admit, okay, Rambo. We'll go off the first Rambo.
Just the first one, yeah.
Okay.
Did you see the first one?
A long ass time ago.
Okay.
Rewatching it as an adult, there's a lot of commentary there about individuals coming back from the Vietnam War, how they phased back into society, how our U.S. culture greeted veterans coming back from the Vietnam War. I mean, it's actually a really well-written movie, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, Sylvester Stallone had a heavy hand, if not the only hand, in penning the script for this movie, just like he did with the Rocky movies.
I think he did, yeah.
Really, it's a very intelligent movie, and there's a lot of underlying tones in there that reflect the America's feel about the war that we were involved in over in Vietnam. And it's actually a really strong movie, and a lot of the ways that he goes about and a lot of the tactical stuff, he referenced a lot of actual military tactics in the making of the movie and a lot of the guerrilla warfare that was utilized by the Viet Cong over there to take out some of these police in this town that are trying to come after him. It's actually really cool to watch. If you rewatch it again, this movie actually holds up better than I thought it would upon rewatch.
It holds up better than Rocky for sure. I think.
Now listen, you sound like a Kentucky Fried Idiot.
And if I remember right, Rocky placed pretty highly on the top 10 heroes.
Iconicism is big. I don't know if Rambo's more iconic than Rocky, but he's definitely an anti-hero too, right? I mean, he's killing police officers in this movie.
Yeah.
But that being said, those dirty pigs had it coming.
They drew first blood.
Oh, dear Lord.
Sorry. Now I'm playing footsies with
That's all right.
Rob under the table because we agreed. So, you have anything to say negative, Nancy boy?
I disagree with this pick. Let's move on.
Number 9, The Punisher.
Okay, so I agree with this pick. But which version of The Punisher are we talking about? I mean,
I like the Netflix TV show Punisher personally.
Okay.
I never read the comics or anything, so
Technically, the Punisher on Netflix isn't cinema because
it's not cinema.
It is a TV series, but
you asked me what I liked. That's what I liked.
When we were making the list, though, we agreed that the one that we were going to reference was the Thomas Jane portrayal from the movie, not the first Punisher movie from way back in the 80s, but the one from the
more recent
one from like 2000,
yeah,
2001. I was at 4.
Was that the one with John Travolta?
Yeah, with John Travolta as the villain. And that was a good movie. It had just enough jokey, kind of gimmicky comic book stuff in it with his fixed up car and with the Russian coming in and tossing him down the stairs. But it also had a serious undertone. Man, when his kid got ran down on that dock with his wife, I mean, I felt for it. His portrayal of like that hurt willing to do. You see his transformation. It's one of those movies where it shows the origin story. It's not like, oh, here's Batman's parents getting shot for the 50th time in Crime Alley. They made it feel fresh.
Yeah.
They made it feel emotionally significant. You know, they did a good job in that movie, I thought.
Yeah.
Showing his methodologies too, you know, how his background worked as a police officer and as a former military, and how he upgraded his car, his hideout. He had guns and hand grenades hidden all over the place. He befriended those people. He was a good guy doing the bad things for the right reasons. And I think
a lot of people identified with it too.
Oh yeah.
If you look at any like prior military or police and stuff, people who they want to do that, even though they know they can't. And
Right.
you see it by the logos that they carry.
And this is a particularly violent movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like some of the violence in this movie was kind of gross.
I don't recall. What's one that sticks out in your mind?
When he like sticks his knife through the dude's face and you like see it through his mouth, like because he's got his mouth open, and doesn't he like shove it up through his chin?
I don't remember that.
I kind of remember that, but I don't know. I view violence differently. Than I can see that being really violent to like a normal person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. Some things just don't bother me personally when I see them. But yes, they showed more than other movies did, especially at that time. Yeah. I bet if you looked at it versus
by
other movies,
standards,
by today's standards, no.
Nothing.
Like, if you look at the Netflix TV show versus this movie,
right?
You know what I mean? Or even like the first Daredevil one on Netflix, that first season with Wilson Fisk like bashing that dude's head in with the door and stuff. I mean, there was some, but in 2004, it was very violent.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And it holds up well too. The movie itself holds up well. And his portrayal in that movie, I think, is subtle. It's not over the top. It's not so woeful in his sadness that it's cheesy or that it comes off as unbelievable or over the top, or it was a good portrayal.
Yeah. So let's move on. Number 8 is Corbin Dallas. Who is this character? I have no idea who this is.
Buddy.
Corbin Dallas.
Corbin Dallas, I got no fire. Corbin Dallas, I got no fire.
I still have no idea.
The Fifth Element. You've seen The Fifth Element. Bruce Willis.
Come on.
Okay.
So which character is this in The Fifth Element?
It's Bruce Willis.
It's Corbin Dallas.
It's Bruce Willis? Okay.
Yeah, it's Bruce Willis. Mila Djokovic. She plays Lilu. You've seen the movie, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you like the movie?
I thought it was all right.
Just all right from you. Wow.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
I thought that
to
would
me.
have been one that you would like. Yeah. I thought you'd like that blue chick with the stone in her belly.
I thought this was a stroke and choke for you.
No. Okay, so about The Fifth Element. The Fifth Element is really weird. Okay? It's a weird movie.
Agreed.
See? Yeah. It's a weird movie. So it's a sci-fi movie, but it's like everything about that is blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff in there that is like really bizarre. Okay. And so for me, like I was more used to the kind of sci-fi Star Trek, Star Wars, and granted Star Wars is a little bit more fantastic, but there's to me there was like a little bit more realism, in those type of movies.
Yeah,
compared to
maybe
The Fifth Element was like,
to me they went those movies.
Dog monster.
Those movies went for realism and maybe succeeded, where this one went purposefully to be over the top and definitely succeeded and was written well and was an entertaining movie.
Okay.
I mean, they weren't like thinking this is hyper realism and this is what the future is going to be like. They knew they were over the top.
Yeah.
100%.
You know what? I just watched,
and they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I just watched the other night Valerian and the Thousand Planets, or the Valerian and the City of the Thousand Planets.
Okay.
Which I believe is to me it seemed like it was a spiritual successor to The Fifth Element, and it was directed by the same director.
Okay.
So, but I had some problems with the movie. Like some of the elements to me seemed kind of it seemed a little too over the top.
Now you're talking about elements of the movie, not the 5 elements of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
No.
Corbin Dallas, anti-hero. Again, prior military experience. He's willing to bend and twist the rules. He's evading law enforcement. He's sheltering a fugitive to accomplish what he believes in his heart to be the right thing, protecting what he knows is an innocent young lady, beautiful as she may be, in Mila Djokovic. I mean, man, he encompasses that, and he's effective. That's another thing, you know. The Punisher, Rambo, Corbin Dallas, they're all extremely effective in what it is they're trying to do in their task.
Yeah.
And their willingness to walk on the outside and skirt around the law and the laws, I think, is what helps them be effective at accomplishing their goals.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on.
Let's.
So number seven.
Why did Jules make the list, Ron?
I don't even know who
Why'd
this
you
is.
put him on here?
I forgot. So we should just move on to number 6.
What? This is your list,
Because
guys.
Ron's never seen Pulp Fiction.
Oh, God, I forgot.
Is that what? No. Okay. I have watched like a half an hour of Pulp Fiction.
Ron has never seen Pulp Fiction, and everyone should tear his asshole another brother in the comments.
So just remember that when he says anything about anything.
Well, okay. I went and watched Pulp Fiction in the theater.
And you left after a half hour?
With my parents. And they got up and left.
They got up and left because you were with them.
Right.
And you were like 12.
No, I was probably 14. But
no,
still.
you weren't.
Jules from Pulp Fiction, man. He's a hitman turned, basically he starts out as a hitman who thinks that he's having religious overtones and that he's trying to make himself seem righteous within his own mind, but then he actually ends up walking a different path by the end of the movie. He has a full circle character development into a true anti-hero from just a villain hitman, based on, the grace of God. Basically,
yeah,
what turned him around, or what he believes to be.
What he interprets to be that, yes.
The grace of God.
Okay, so clearly I'm going to have to watch this
intervention.
movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does the same thing. He circumvents the law. He does what he thinks is right in his own mind. And by the end of the movie, he spares a life. He's one bad motherfucker.
And to use the dirty word again, iconicism. Everyone except for Ron knows exactly who this is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in France? I don't know what the fuck the metric system is. They call it a Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese. There's so many quotable lines in that movie that Ron doesn't
that's
know.
not even his.
I know. He does say Royale with cheese because later he's telling the story.
Royale with cheese, yeah.
He goes, you know why they call it that? And that guy's like, because of the metric system? He's like, look at the big brain on bread.
That's an iconic line. I mean, man, think about how many movies or TV shows have ripped off Pulp Fiction in all kinds of different ways. Ezekiel 25:17. The Bible verse that he quotes in that movie, that's one of probably the most well-known Bible verses in America
because of this movie.
Pulp Fiction,
because of this
not
movie.
because of the Bible.
The path of the righteous man.
Oh, buddy, don't get me going. I will recite that entire thing. And
you won't.
I know the whole thing. I know it all. Don't make me do it. Samuel Jackson's portrayal of this character, too. I mean, he's a suave, laid-back guy, but you get to see him out of his element. When they accidentally kill Marvin in the back of the car, and John Travolta's character blows his brains out accidentally.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie, and I know it's...
Oh, man, I shot him in the face.
Shot him in the fucking face.
Why'd you do that? I didn't mean to shoot him in the face.
But you see him get flustered. You see him go from being this cool, I can handle anything that comes at me character, hitman, with an afro and a suit and everything's within his charge. He has that scene in the apartment where they're getting back Marcellus Wallace's suitcase, where he's so in control to being completely uncomfortable, out of control, borderline panicking, pleading with another individual, Quentin Tarantino's character in that movie, to help him, to please assist me. And you get to see him go through a real character arc. I would think he's the most well-developed, fleshed-out character in that entire movie.
Yeah.
You see him truly go on a journey of growth. And Sam Jackson, man, is just a great actor. People can razz on him all they want for dropping the F-bomb and saying motherfucker in every movie.
Yeah.
But he's a great actor, man.
Yeah,
He has subtlety. He has over-the-top, believable performances consistently throughout the course of his career.
Okay.
Black Snake Moan.
Let's move on.
Christina Ricci! Why wasn't she on our babes list? Oh no, we've made a mistake.
That's the Babes in Chains
We've
list.
got to go back.
That's next.
Okay, Babes in Chains. Oh, who's Star Wars? Are we gonna have
Leia.
There's we got to do a Babes in Chains.
We're getting sidetracked.
Okay, sorry.
So number 6.
Number 6, Rorschach from the Watchmen movie.
Okay. I remember watching this movie.
That's just a meh from you?
Yeah, meh.
I would have thought you would have had a big old rock hard comic book boner for this one.
No,
buddy.
I mean, Watchmen to me was okay. It was okay.
Really?
Yeah.
But what about, we're not talking about the movie Watchmen. We're talking about his character, though.
Yeah, and his character was okay. It was fine.
I mean, he was basically the monologue for the entire movie.
Yeah, he
right?
was. And then they smoke him in the end.
He was the narrator.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Why are you guys defending this pick so much?
Honestly, for me, he kind of has that. He's got his own code, and he's trying to follow it. So, I like that about him. I like that his code was like it might skew a little bit into the villainy, but his overall view. I mean, he was trying to help, like what he thought would help society.
Okay.
Total vigilante.
Yeah.
I mean, he's totally unwilling to bend his moral code, but will bend and break every law in the, end up ultimately sacrificing himself to do what he thinks is right. And he does. He ends up, getting smoked by Dr. Manhattan in the end of the movie. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie.
Man.
Which he makes him do.
Yeah.
He makes him take him out.
Well, because he knows that he's totally uncompromising.
Yeah,
in
he's not
his
gonna do
moral
it.
position.
He's not. Yeah.
And you get to see his backstory too. Tragic backstory. I mean, this is a harsh, gritty character. Like, take that noir street crime detective and just make him into the most badass vigilante possible. Those jail scenes where he's fighting these guys and the guards come and get him. He smacks that dude in the face with the tray and tosses oil in his face in the lunch line. You're locked in here with me.
That's a better.
God damn.
That's a better prison fight scene than Netflix Punisher one.
I think that's one of the best.
Good, yeah.
Except for where they pan over to Owlman and his girlfriend, and they're in the hall, and it's like, get the fuck out of here. Go back to Rorschach.
Why does his mask just constantly change? Why does it do that?
That's something from the comics that was adapted. It's made out of a certain material, and it's part of it is just to mask his identity so that he can continue to carry out his vigilante justice. But it's one of those things. It's a meta commentary on the open interpretation of his actions. You can see it differently depending on your life experiences and who you are. Just like an actual inkblot Rorschach test, where you're shown a totally random inkblot image, and depending on your interpretation,
you see what you want to see.
The affiliations you make in your mind, you can take a psychoanalytical look into your mind. So if I show you an ink block and you say, it looks like my mom's spanking me, well, we probably got a good idea what your issues are and where to start.
We'll start by watching Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that'll straighten you out. Again, typical anti-hero and total badass too.
Okay, let's move on. Number 5,
Captain Jack Sparrow.
So,
good job, buddy. That was good.
Yeah, cool character. I like this character. Why is he on this list though?
What?
Why?
Why wouldn't he be?
I mean, well, why?
Why did you put him at number 5, Ron?
I didn't put him at number 5. You and your old man committee put him at number 5.
Whoa!
Oh no! This was not an old man committee.
I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to ask you. So basically 3 criteria for everybody on this list at minimum.
Okay.
Taking into other considerations into account as well. Would you consider him to be iconic in cinema?
Do you know what iconic means?
Yeah.
Culturally significant?
Okay, sure.
You think people know who Jack Sparrow is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you consider him to be an anti-hero?
Sure.
Do you consider him to be a well-developed and entertaining character over the course of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies?
At least for probably the first 2.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
So you agree with our criteria, and I'm glad that you placed him at number 5 on our list.
No, I didn't put him 5.
He's an anti-hero, but not. I mean, he's such a contrast to the last entry on our list, Rorschach, because he is willing and has done dastardly things, and without a doubt, probably killed people in the past. But at the same time, his lighthearted, the Jester of Tortuga, his lighthearted nature and the whimsical, kind of hapless way that he gets himself into and out of bad circumstances is hilariously entertaining. Johnny Depp's portrayal of this character is, when I first saw the movie, and granted I was, younger than you guys are, being the youngest, most hippest, coolest person on this panel.
Okay.
He was mesmerizing, man. You wanted to be. He was one of those characters you walk out of the movie theater and you're like, "Oh, hello, love." You're kind of impersonating him, and
a little bit.
Yeah, you walk out of there and you're enthralled in his performance.
Okay.
Great character piece.
Yeah. I don't know. He seems so goofy, doesn't he?
Yeah, 100% agree.
And so, to me, like, as far as anti-hero goes, like, I don't know, it's hard to see past that for me. But okay, fine, anti-hero, because he does the dastardly things, but like he ultimately comes around and does good things. So I mean, I get it.
Hero part of the anti-hero equation.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything that says that somebody has to be a Rorschach or a John Rambo or a...
He doesn't seem necessarily as dark as some of these other picks.
No, definitely not. But there's that, that doesn't mean, as we get later on to our list too.
I think, I think
you have to be dark to be an anti-hero.
No, but like, I don't I feel like he makes a lot of mistakes, because he's selfish and whatnot. But ultimately he comes around. Ultimately he makes the right decision.
Yeah, that's like he ultimately gets to where he's trying to go. But to me, what makes an anti-hero good or like interesting and an anti-hero in the first place is the fact that, there's this whole thing with like journey and destination, right? He's destination. And if you don't care about the journey, if you don't care about the means to which you achieve a goal, you're an anti-hero.
Okay.
And he doesn't.
Yeah.
Well,
he's willing to double cross people.
Exactly. But it's so black and white in the way that the morality of these stories shapes out, because every time he does something underhanded or dastardly or subverts our expectation when we think he's finally on the right path, it sets him back in his journey.
Yeah.
And every time he does something in line with higher, societal, higher morals, or does something that's more in line with what we would consider the hero doing, he gets closer to his goal.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a fun thing in these movies in particular to watch, especially since they're geared at a younger audience. These are PG-13.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so let's move on.
Okay.
Number 4 is Doc Holliday. Now, I like this character. I think this is a good pick.
You have Ron's blessing.
Wow. Yes, you do.
Is that the first one on this list? I think it might be.
I said I like Jack Sparrow.
Okay.
I thought. Oh, yeah. I like the Punisher too.
Yeah.
So,
what do you like about Doc Holliday?
Well, I think Doc Holliday seemed like he had that really dark past, and
dentistry.
Oh, that is a dark past. You guys see The Dentist?
Yeah. Screw you guys. But I mean, he was. You guys talk.
No, go ahead, Ron.
No,
go ahead.
No.
What did you like about him?
No, I have.
Well, let's go iconicism first, right? Everyone knows.
Man.
Everyone knows Doc Holliday. Everyone knows his lines.
Yeah,
have you seen the movie?
10 lines in that movie that any fan of the movie could tell you at least one or two of them. Val Kilmer's portrayal, man. I mean, talk about method acting, losing the weight, getting into that, looking like
being that walking leukemia. Skeleton. With the TB.
It's like or tuberculosis.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did I say? Leukemia.
Yeah.
Hodgkin's lymphoma. He looks like
I got the
embodiment of death. He has that skeletal persona.
Yeah.
He has the trench coat on. He wears the hat low. He's got the cowboy mustache. He's got the cross draw.
Yeah.
I mean, man, like you said, he's one of these cool, almost infallible characters. He's almost like a James Bond type. Nothing that comes out of his mouth is going to be misconstrued. He says what he means, and he means what he says. And he has that devil may care attitude.
And the directness to what he says, too.
Oh, yeah. Play for blood, remember? I'm Huckleberry. I was just fooling. I wasn't. Yeah. I mean, man, there's... Just for the quotes alone, man, you could make a T-shirt out of almost every line he says in that entire fucking movie.
Yeah.
And that movie, too, as a whole. Man, what a great film overall. You got Kurt Russell. You got, terrific performances by the entire cast, but I think anybody that's seen this film will tell you that portrayal of Doc Holliday by Val Kilmer stands head and shoulders above everything else in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
what's something that you remember about Doc Holliday that you think fits him in line with an anti-hero persona, being as you've seen this movie and you agree with this pick?
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I should probably rewatch it. But I mean, I like that he was willing to, to get up there and put himself in harm's way. And granted, he's got that. He had a drinking problem, didn't he?
He drank a lot, he gambled a lot, but his main problem in the movie, I'd say, was tuberculosis.
Right. Well, yeah.
His smoking and drinking definitely.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it didn't help.
But I mean, ultimately he was one of the good guys, but he also didn't mind doing bad things.
Yeah,
to accomplish his goal.
Right. He was like their ace in the hole.
Right.
Kind of too.
Yeah, he was.
The wild card.
Right.
At the end of the movie too. Spoiler alert: if you haven't seen Tombstone, which came out in like 1993, he's the fastest gun in the West. He says it in that bar scene at the saloon. He goes, "Oh, there you go, Don. Johnny Ringo, the deadliest pistolet since Wild Bill," they say, and then he ends up outdrawing him at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. And everyone knows to fear Doc, but he doesn't have to talk himself up. He doesn't have to put on all this braggadocious bravado when he gets called out in that gun spinning, non-confrontational duel.
And he's doing it with
he mocks him with the little cup, and it's so, without being physically threatening at all, because he doesn't even have his gun drawn. It's so much more menacing and threatening than anything that Johnny Ringo.
Look what I can do with this. Imagine what I can do with something I've trained with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I could fuck you up with this cup, you little bitch.
Yeah.
And the relationship too. One last thing I want to talk about is the relationship between him and Kurt Russell's portrayal of Wyatt Earp. I mean, there's that push and pull between a chaotic good and basically what Doc Holliday is a chaotic neutral who just happens to land on the side of good for the day because he's friends with Kurt Russell's Wyatt Earp.
Are we bringing a little D&D into this?
That push and pull, a little D&D.
He's trying.
And it's a pretty compelling performance on both their parts, and it's definitely a pair or a partnership or a duet, if you will, of cinema. That's one of the best pairings of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let's move on. Number 3 is Batman.
I know you got to agree with this, Ron.
Oh, I mean, yeah, Batman's a fine anti-hero.
Wow.
Christian Bale's Batman.
Christian Bale's Batman.
Not Val Kilmer's Batman or Nipple Batman. George Clooney. Not Adam West.
The swear to me, Batman.
Swear to me.
Swear to me.
Do you have any free colas? Because I have a sore throat.
Where is she?
Christian Bale's Batman, man. I mean,
you're gonna love me.
Well, and here was a character who definitely was making mistakes. He wanted to kill his parents' killer.
Yeah.
He shows up at the courthouse with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
No gumption.
Yeah. He does a few shameful things. He makes mistakes, but ultimately he ends up becoming a hero. And then later, he's willing to take on the blame for things that happened in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
What ultimately ends up happening there, he's willing to take that on as part of his reputation. So even though he didn't do those things, he's willing to be that because that's what Gotham needed at that time.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I would argue that he's more heroic in that moment, even though he's portrayed as a villain in that particular case because he takes the blame for those things.
Yeah, that's really good point.
Perception of the town goes. Yeah, I agree.
So
I think it's cool too. You get to see him develop. You get to see him go from that whiny, sniveling rich kid who just wants revenge to actually being kind of a beacon for justice and having his moral code set about him too, which transforms him. Because I would almost argue that when he's just going to go down there and kill him, he's a villain.
Right.
He's a weak villain.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have the gumption to carry out his own crimes.
Right.
That he intends or wants to commit. But you get to see him train, you get to see him develop, you get to see him develop his moral code, you get to see where it comes from circumstance, from living as a criminal within the Hungarian prison or wherever the hell he's at over there.
Who knows, yeah.
Training with the Shadow Clan, and he develops some empathy and kind of pushes some of that apathy out, while not sympathizing with anybody necessarily. Just trying to be unbiased.
See, I just think that through his journey, he ultimately just becomes a hero and remains a hero. I mean, there's the public's view, their perception of him.
Well, he is circumventing the law, which is kind of qualifies him, I think, as the anti-hero.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a vigilante. However, he also he does work with
to an extent.
He works with Gordon.
To an extent. But Gordon is almost working against the law too a little bit.
Yeah. I would argue that Gordon's almost an anti-hero because he's circumventing the law as well. Whereas someone like Captain America initially is working with the military-industrial complex. He's
but at the same time too, like throughout these movies, the things that are going on, this is not something that their police force or even their military could handle. This is something that Batman, had intimate knowledge of and was able to conquer. And that was something that needed, that task needed his skills. It needed his tools. It needed him.
Like when all the police get trapped underground.
Yeah.
For a week or two, and then they all come out from underground and don't have any guns and fist fight all the guys with guns, and then they're also all shaven, even though they've been underground.
Hey, I always bring my razor when I'm on duty.
Anyways, besides self-incrimination, moving on.
Self-incrimination.
Number 2, Han Solo.
Okay, so Han Solo, he's. I think this is another character.
You can't win with this guy.
I know. Why? God, Ronnie, you're so hard.
Solo, man.
Okay, so here's the thing. Han Solo, granted, he maybe starts out as an anti-hero, but ultimately becomes heroic. He becomes a hero.
That's kind of what an anti-hero does.
It's kind of their character.
They ultimately get to that end, but how they get there is what makes them an anti-hero.
No, I think there are some characters that could have made this list
You're
that
wrong.
are not on this list.
You're wrong.
We'll do an honorable mention after this entry.
I will say though that there are some anti-heroes that basically remain the same. Okay, they remain anti-heroes.
I think he remains anti-hero, and then they even made him worse with the new stupid movies that turned him into a deadbeat dad. So
now that I would probably agree with. But I mean, by the end of Return of the Jedi, he's a war hero.
Let's just talk about Han Solo and why you agree with this, Ron. Let's not get on to the part where you don't.
Well, I mean, obviously,
the first movie though, the first Star Wars movie from the original trilogy, he's definitely an anti-hero.
He's in for himself.
He's a smuggler who just has self-gratification in mind.
He shot first.
He shot first against
Greedo.
Yeah.
In the cantina. He's a smuggler.
Although
he owes money to people that
in that particular case,
in
defense, I want to get this out there. In defense of shooting first, okay, I'm not ever going to let somebody shoot me. Okay, so if I think that somebody's going to shoot me, I'm going to shoot them. That's where I'm at with it. So I think he was perfectly justified. He knew that guy was there to kill him. Okay, so knowing that he had
because he was
right, and knowing that he had it doesn't matter what the reason is. Like when your life's on the line, it's fair play. Okay, so if somebody's there to kill you, I'm going to kill them first.
We got.
But that's like if you rob a.
I got a modern door. I got a modern day story for you here. So like you got a couple of drug dealers in the alley, and the one guy knows he's going to double cross him, so he pulls his gun out and shoots him first. Is that guy the hero then in that story because he knew he was going to die?
Yeah.
I'm not. Well, just because you're justified in doing something doesn't mean you're the hero.
As a grappler, I can totally agree with shooting first. If you don't shoot first, then you're sprawling. You don't want to be sprawling. You want to be shooting first.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I am going to say jiu-jitsu. I am going to say that Han Solo, the reason why he's in trouble in the beginning of the story is because he's not a man of his word. He hasn't paid in on his debts. He's taken things and loans from Jabba and other nefarious sources, and he hasn't been willing to give.
Even smugglers get bored sometimes, all right?
I think Jabba was justified in sending someone after him. You owed me money.
Okay, well, don't send somebody after me to kill me. They're not going to come back.
I think we're sidetracking this.
Harrison Ford's portrayal, devil may care attitude, totally free spirit. He's cool, he's calm, he's collective. He panics a little bit, and you get to see a little bit of his nervous nature when he's in totally unfamiliar circumstances. But a lot of times, it seems like he's more upset that he's in that circumstance because of the fact he's trying to do something good.
Yeah.
He's like, what am I even getting out of this? Rescuing a princess? You're just going to make out with her even though she's your sister? What the fuck am I doing here? What's old Han getting out of this?
They didn't know that at that time.
But you get to see his selfish nature shine through in almost every circumstance, and he reluctantly, which was part of an anti-hero, he's a reluctant anti-hero. He doesn't necessarily want to be there.
But he changes.
But he changes over the course of time, and seeing that character development, like Jules, like Doc Holliday, like some of these other characters, seeing that development over the course of the movie is what makes him relatable and makes him a great anti-hero, because he starts out in this low, dark, kind of seedy, seedy as you can be in 1970s futuristic sci-fi movie. Cantina. You've never seen a more dastardly den of scum and villainy. The galaxy over, or whatever.
Playing oboes.
Playing oboes. But and he totally. By the end of the third movie, he's getting a medal around his neck. He's hugging Ewoks.
He was getting the medal at the end of the first movie.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we
because
there's
he
no
was
pleasing this guy.
he was a war hero. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Oh, do you want to do your honorable mentions? Now for
Before we
Ron's
get to the
honorable
number one.
mentions.
Okay, yes,
we reveal
honorable
our
mentions.
Number one spot.
You know what? Anti-heroes. Okay. How about?
Three.
Okay, I'll do three just off the top of my head, and this is not in any particular order. But Deadpool. Okay, so you got a guy who he's a mercenary, but he also tries to do the right thing. Okay, but he's willing to kill whoever he needs to in order to get to his goal.
Can I speak to Deadpool first before you go on to your next two?
Okay.
We talked about Deadpool, but we wanted these to be non-comedies. We felt that was more comedy than serious.
You have Jack Sparrow on this list.
The movie itself wasn't a comedy.
Oh.
It was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
He was
literally the only
he's a funny
thing in that
anti-hero.
movie is
Is him.
his character. Deadpool, everyone's kind of jokey and wink
Yeah.
at the camera.
No, I thought that was mainly him.
Luck is a superpower. I'm just really lucky.
She was serious about that.
I know, but it's still, buddy, come on.
Okay, next.
Okay, Wolverine. Okay,
We thought about that.
he's killed a lot of people. Okay,
He has.
but also ultimately tries to do the right thing.
Wolverine's on this list, actually. This list only goes to 10. Sorry, buddy.
And the thing about Wolverine too is that you don't get to see him do any of the bad stuff, especially in the original 3 X-Men movies, which is kind of what we're going off original source material here, like the original trilogies and most of these, like Jack Sparrow. We're not doing Pirates of the Caribbean 9 or whatever they're on now, or Star Wars, A New Hope, Planet, Future, Last Planet.
No, but I mean, like you pick particular instances, like you pick Christian Bale's Batman. So
but that was its own trilogy.
Okay,
All 3 of those.
yeah.
His character arc through them.
So I mean, I don't think it matters that Hugh Jackman has played
He's the
a
only
dozen different instances of Wolverine.
No.
But I
We're
mean,
saying-
pick a period.
When,
How about
when
the
have
Logan
we seen
movie?
Him kill a bunch of when have we seen him kill a bunch of people? Are you going to argue
Logan.
the most recent one,
Yes.
which is not necessarily the original basis for the character?
Okay, fine. X-Men United, X-Men 2.
Who did he kill in that movie?
He killed everybody that was attacking the school.
It's killing based on being the iconic cinema anti-hero.
I just don't
Just
think
on
he's
how
that
many people you
compelling
kill.
of
It's
a
not a
character.
kill.
I don't think it was necessary
Why isn't
for him to kill all those people.
Why isn't John Wick on this? I mean, if we're going kill count,
The
or is he
most-
going to be your next one?
The most fleshing out we get of him as a character is in the Wolverine movie in the X-Men Origin, and that was about the first 10 minutes of that was really cool if they would have given us more of him in Vietnam or Wolverine.
Yeah.
They need to make a Wolverine in Vietnam movie or a Wolverine in a Civil War movie. But instead they gave us a bunch of pandering bullshit with Ryan Reynolds as cheesy, terrible Deadpool. And I mean, there's just not a real good fleshing out of his character. I don't think he's as well developed as a character
I
as
think
any of these
Ryan
other
Reynolds
guys.
made it up to us for Deadpool.
Okay. And your number 3, go ahead. Wolverine, Deadpool, and...
Well, I mean, you guys already stole my thunder with John Wick. So.
Okay.
Oh, is it going to be John Wick?
Yeah, I knew it. Okay.
So it's all about kill count.
And coming in at number 1 for anti-heroes in cinema, Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of the infamous Tony Stark, billionaire playboy philanthropist.
Maybe starts as an anti-hero, but ultimately heroic. I agree. I like this pick.
Anti-hero does,
I like this pick. I mean, ultimately he sacrifices himself. He sacrifices himself
Spoiler
for.
alert.
If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, turn off now.
Oh my god.
I say by Endgame he's a hero.
Yeah.
But everything leading up to that is more the anti-hero.
What about Iron Man 3?
What about it?
Killian, where he's working for the president, and he's just kind of doing what he's told. I mean, even in that movie, you get to see his character arc from being a dickhead that leaves Aldrich Killian standing on the top of the motel.
He was suffering from PTSD.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was.
Not yet. If you would have let me finish, you would hear the point I'm making.
Okay.
I didn't mean to talk while you were interrupting, Ron. Bobby Bond, shout out Bobby Bond. Stole that line.
Did the beginning of your sentence interrupt the middle of mine?
When he leaves Aldrich Killian standing on top of that balcony before he's ever gone and become Iron Man, when he leaves him in the past in that flashback, it shows his character growth still from being a total dickhead that's like, oh yeah, you got a new scientific theory? Okay, I'll meet you on the rooftop in 20 minutes. And then leaves him there. It still shows his character growth over time, even in that one movie, where he's gone from being a complete selfish dickhead, and then now he's suffering the repercussions of those actions, and now has to work as an anti-hero to make it right.
I think you're thinking too
Dude
much
was trying
on
to get laid. Like, who, who in that situation would fulfill that obligation?
There's devil's advocate, and then there's devil's lawyer. And you're playing devil's lawyer. You're trying to really make Iron Man seem
let's go have some nerdy conversation, or let's go get laid. I mean, that's an easy choice there.
And then he was a dickhead to the girl that fucked him, though, too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean
so
I think you're putting too much emphasis on like the bad, like anti-hero is bad. It's not necessarily bad. He just using different means to achieve it.
Non-conventional hero path.
Yeah.
You have to admit that Iron Man would do things that Superman wouldn't do to accomplish his goals.
My criticism is that I think there are some characters on this list that start as anti-heroes and ultimately become heroes, and I think there are some characters on this list that remain anti-heroes. Okay, so like Punisher, I think is always a anti-hero. Rorschach, okay, always an anti-hero. Doc Holliday, okay. I think that's my criticism. That's it. Okay. Not that I dislike Iron Man or that I think he is not an anti-hero at all. I do. But
out of the two columns, if you had to have a hero and a villain column,
I would have preferred Iron Man to end up on the hero list. That's what I would have preferred.
Yeah, but he just doesn't fit that same. He shouldn't be on the list with Superman and Captain America and these morally completely virtuous individuals that are more the traditional hero archetype.
Like they've never done anything wrong?
I've never seen Superman go sleep around, get drunk. There's certain things that characters like that are traditional heroes that they don't do, or they're not, that's not in their wheelhouse. Where, people like Iron Man, Han Solo, Doc Holliday, Jack Sparrow, they might have some whiskeys and do a little bit of blow with you before they go save the day. You know what I mean? That's just in their wheelhouse. Where other more traditional heroes aren't going to do that.
Hey, we don't know that Tony Stark was a druggie. Okay, I mean, as far as we knew, he was just an alcoholic.
Okay,
so well, we do know he's a druggie.
Robert Downey Jr. No,
Tony Stark, not Tony Robert Downey Jr.
Well, the thing is, we can't all be right, Ron. So
just us.
Someone has to be wrong.
Just me and Rob.
You guys and your lists.
A recap on our list. Number 10, Rambo. Number 9, The Punisher. Number 8, Corbin Dallas. Number 7, Jules. Number 6, Rorschach. Number 5, Jack Sparrow. Number 4, Doc Holliday. Number 3, Batman. Number 2, Han Solo. Coming in at the number 1 spot, billionaire playboy philanthropist. Iron Man. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Well, this was a fun list. We had your honorable mentions of Deadpool and Wolverine. We tried to keep it to less than 50% of the list being from comic books because these are just heroes, anti-heroes of cinema, not necessarily comic book origin.
What about Venom?
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been 3 Scoops
Podcast. Venom is iconic.
Lamest.
No. Venom was awesome.
I'm Kel.
I'm Ron.
And I'm Rob.
Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. And check out our Instagram at 3.scoops.707. Click the notification bell to stay up to date on all our latest releases. We come out with new content every Sunday. And stay tuned. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.